What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another page of the playbook. This is Nate coming at you guys with another entry in the 32 NFL off seasons in 32 days. Yesterday we talked about the Los Angeles Chargers. Today let's talk about that other Los Angeles team, the Los Angeles Rams. Before we get into today's video, guys, I just want to give a special shout out to today's sponsors, starting with Gold Fine and Bowles, lawyers for the injured. Personal injury, workers' compensation, those are their two things, but any sort of legal advice, they're the people to call. Give them a phone call, 309-673-5144. Tell them we sent you, okay? And I'd also like to shout out SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video as well. Use promo code PlaybookSports on their website to get $20 off your first purchase of $30 or more. Let's get back to the video. Let's talk about last year, Rams fans. I'll be honest, again, I've done it in other videos. If you saw the Green Bay video, you know I'm the first person who will put his hand and be like, I was wrong. I did not think that this Rams team was going to be worth a damn last season, honest to God. I mean, you're just looking at their roster and their depth chart. How many young players that were unproven did they have on that roster? Looking at that team, I genuinely was comfortable naming 4, maybe 5 players on that entire roster. They were just not very great team, but they just continue to show us how important great coaching is. And Sean McVay is a great coach. If you have a bad coach in the NFL, you are not going to succeed. You cannot outdo a bad coach. But if you have a great coach like the Rams do in Sean McVay, that can elevate an underwhelming roster to a surprisingly good season like the Rams had. They went 10-7, made the playoffs last year, something I did not see happening. Rookie Puka Nacua breaking all sorts of records, looking unbelievable as a fifth-round pick. And then, unfortunately, they did lose to Detroit in the wild card round, but it was a great game that I was on the edge of, offense, great football game. And you just got to hope that the Rams can continue this upward trajectory. So what have they done? Have they done enough this offseason to continue that trajectory? To continue to say, you know what, last season was the start. Here we go. So do they have enough? Have they done enough to potentially make a little run here? Let's talk about it. First up, let's talk coaching changes. The big one, unfortunately for the Rams, when you have when you do great and you have a bunch of young players thriving on your defense, you're gonna lose your defensive coordinator, and they did. Raheem Morris left to go be the new head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, but they replaced him with Chris Shula, who has been with Sean McVay since McVay became the head coach in 2017. Obviously, grandson of the legendary head coach Don Shula of your Miami Dolphins. I do really like that Chris Shula is the guy that they just elevated from within. He's coached all 3 levels of the defense. He's been a defensive line coach, linebacker, and secondary coach. So he's done it all. He obviously knows McVay very well. He's been with him since he became a head coach. They've been together now. This will be year 7. So I actually like that. I have to say it's overall net negative because Raheem Morris is a fantastic coach. But I think Chris Shula could maybe show us something and could be a really good defensive coordinator. He's got the chops to do it, so I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. Let's get into players lost for this offseason period, and there's only really one, and unfortunately it is the big one. It is surefire, Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. Aaron Donald decided to hang up the cleats and call it a career. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner, Rookie of the Year, just unbelievable, consistently considered the best defensive player in football every single season. Maybe one of, if not, the best defensive player we have ever seen play the game of football. Spent all 10 years with the Rams. Sad to see him go. He's only 33 years old, so it's hard to see him quit, when he still probably has a few years to go, but I like that, going out on his own terms and knowing himself. Some people would push it, and then they spend 3 seasons on the injured list, on the IR. So glad he left when he felt like he needed to. Unbelievable player. Can't say enough about Aaron Donald. Love watching him play. So good. And outside of him retiring, genuinely, I've got no players of note that left them in free agency or via trade, which is kind of a benefit when you've got a young, cost-effective team like the Rams do. So players added. For the first time in what really feels like forever, the Rams had a little bit of money to actually play within free agency here. And they started off by adding offensive lineman Jonah Jackson, starting guard for the Detroit Lions. They did give him a pretty big contract, 3 years, $51 million, but then you see what other starting guards got, like Robert Hunt. You're like, oh yeah, we can afford 3 for $51. That's not so bad. And he'll be day 1 starter, so I like that a lot. And they brought back cornerback Darius Williams, who left for 1 season to play with the Jags, and now he's back in LA. So welcome back to LA. Gave him a 3-year, $22 million. It felt like a little bit of an overpay considering his age, and what is that, $7.3 million a year. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's okay. They also added safety Cam Curl on a cheap 2-year deal, only 25 years old. Really solid safety. I like that signing. I mean, The Washington secondary had some actual talent in it last year. How were they so bad? I don't know. They continue to remake their secondary by adding cornerback Trey White from Buffalo. Low risk, high reward for them, in my opinion. He has missed significant time in the last 3 seasons, but not too long ago he was considered one of the best corners in football. So you're going out on a limb here and saying, okay, maybe if he bounces back and he plays like Trey White of 2020 or Trey White of 2019, whenever he was at his top of his game, then fantastic. Then you get an all-time steal in a guy for $3 million. If he's not, if he's still injured, at least he's a proven vet who knows the position, can play the position, and can at least help coach up the younger guys. And you're getting him, again, for only $3.5 million. That's, to me, I'd love $3.5 million, but that's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket for NFL teams in their cap space. So I really like that move. And then when you look at the overall free agency period here, it's kind of a hard free agency to grade because you look at it and you lost one player to retirement and you brought in several players who will contribute right away. So it's like, okay, obviously a positive. But that player you lost is Aaron Donald, and he's one of the best players to ever do it. So I don't even really want to grade it. I think the team will be better than last year based on this, just the free agency periods, but losing Aaron Donald is a hole that you just cannot fill. Like, there's no way to fill that. So have they done anything else? Let's talk about their draft. Actually, this was the Rams' first-round pick since 2016 when they took quarterback Jared Goff. Feels like a lifetime ago, man. That's so crazy to me. But with their first-round pick in, 8 years, they took defensive end Jared Verse out of Florida State. I do really like this pick. Obviously, we've got a hole on the defensive line. Verse is really solid at everything, honestly. A very good pass rusher. Won a ton of one-on-ones in college, and is also surprisingly good against the run as well. So I really like that pick. Just kind of a cliche, plug-and-play, day-one starter for them. He'll be very solid, I think, in his career. I don't know if he'll ever be superstar level good, but I think he can be a really solid edge rusher. In the second round, they moved up by giving up a second-round pick this year and next year to take Florida State defensive lineman Braden Fisk. I don't like this move. I got to be honest. I know some people like it. I did not. His big trait is first-step quickness, which is really solid, but if he doesn't beat you at the first step, and guards in the NFL are faster than guards in college, it's just true, then he struggles. He's practically dead in the water as a pass rusher at that point in time. He has very short arms, 30.5-inch arms. He's a sixth-year player, not very good against the run, struggles to stack up blockers and peek into the backfield to try and find the quarterback or to find the rusher. Maybe he can make some splashy plays for you, but that's what you're banking on. You're hoping every now and then he gives you a splashy play, and you gave up a future 2 for that. I don't love that. I think he's solid. I think he can be a solid defensive tackle, but I don't like 2 second-round picks invested into this guy, in my opinion. I do, however, love their third-round picks. Blake Corum, I actually think his professional comparison is Kyren Williams, which makes me think that Kyren Williams will now not get paid by the Rams when his time has come. Sorry, buddy. But it will give him a breather because they didn't have a competent backup running back last year. Now they do in Blake Corum, who's a very, very solid running back. And then they also took safety Cam Kinchins. Kind of my guy. I've been pounding the drum for Cam Kinchins this entire draft season. No, he was not the most athletic player at the testing. Like testing, he didn't test that great, but you see it on the field. He's so much quicker on the field with the pads on, and that's what you want. He's an instinctive safety, more athletic than people give him credit for, and he's a risk taker. So you're going to get these highs and you're going to get these lows. If you can coach him out of some of those lows and help clean some of that stuff up, he takes a couple shots at a big play, and maybe he'll get burnt, but every now and then he'll make a game-changing play for you. And a player like that in the third round I love. I think he'll play right away for them as well. A couple of their later picks that I like, in the 6th round, they took Tyler Davis out of Clemson. It is not that long ago that he was considered a first-round player. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him, if it's an effort issue, coaching issue, or what, but man, after his freshman year, people were talking like, oh yeah, this guy's a surefire first-round pick, maybe a top 10 pick, no questions asked. Fell all the way to the 6th round. You know he's got the talent. So let's get the effort going. Let's get the coaching into him and see what we got. They also got some insane value in the 6th round with center Bo Limmer out of Arkansas. I had him graded as a late 3, early 4th round guy, and to get him in the 6th round, that's unbelievable. Excellent in the run game. Needs to work on pass pro a little bit, but in the 6th round, you might have just drafted a future starting center in the 6th round. Think about that. That's crazy. That's unbelievable value. That does not happen often, getting any sort of key contributor this late in the draft. I truly believe Bo Limmer has that sort of upside to be a very solid starting center in the NFL. Overall, in this draft, I see a ton of value. I see a day 1 starter and edge rusher in Jared Verse, a potentially day 1 starting safety in Cam Kinchins, a very good number 2 running back in Blake Corum, who will continue to steal carries as the season goes on. Some defensive tackle depth in Braden Fisk in the second round, maybe a little early for me. We'll move on. And Tyler Davis, who I like a lot. Getting Limmer as well in the 6th round was great value. So while I do sort of dock them a little bit for giving up a future 2 for Fisk, like if you took that Fisk pick out of this draft, this would be an A draft without a question. I just cannot get behind it. I would have preferred that they taken several, like Chris Jenkins. I don't know if he was still available, but it was close to there. The Ohio State Pastor Michael Hall Jr., I would have loved if they had taken him. I think he's better. So I just would have loved if they'd done something else with their 2nd round pick. But overall, this draft was very, very solid. And for a solid draft, I give them a B. So overall, this offseason, no, you cannot replace Aaron Donald, but you can't really control him retiring either. So I don't dock them any points for Aaron Donald going. It's not like he was a free agent and they just didn't want to pay him. He chose to quit. That's the end for his career. He wanted to hang it up. I respect that. He had a fantastic career. But outside of him retiring, they brought back nearly the exact same team that just won 10 games. And they're bringing in a very solid draft class to complement that, along with some pieces in free agency. I don't think they're making any sort of Super Bowl run this year, but I do think that this is another wild card team once again within their division that feels like they could win 11 games. They could very easily go 11-6 in my opinion. And 11-6, 10-7 again is a very solid record to have in the NFL. I like what they've done this offseason. For this offseason grade, I give them a B+. That's all I've got for you guys on the Los Angeles Rams. We will be back tomorrow with your Miami Dolphins. We'll see you guys then.